Over 6 years ago, I was a design lover, but I had no real direction or clear idea of where I was going to take my career. I never imagined that fast forward into the future, I would be a full-time graphic designer working on projects that I really only dreamed of. And I always want to post a video that's going to help you progress in your career if you want to become a designer. So I'm going to be sharing today how to get your foot in the door into this industry and the most important thing that you need to actually land some clients. Because let me tell you, if I can do it, you can do it as well. But it all begins with actually designing. So whether you're brand new and you are just trying to land your first client, or maybe you're experienced and you're working on tons of projects, but you're always questioning whether or not you should include something on your website. Well, I'm about to share some practical tips that I wish I knew when I started so that you know how to approach your online portfolio and start landing some dream clients. Okay, so let's talk about tip number 1, which is to figure out your offerings. I see far too many designers, and I talk to designers every single day now inside of my Patreon community, so I'm able to really hear what you guys are struggling with if you're just starting out, and also the things you might be struggling with as a seasoned, experienced designer. And I see far too many designers offering too many things and just confusing the potential clients that come to your website. Your website has tons of a la carte items on what it is you can design for them. Your client might be confused and also a little weary at the fact that you're able to do all of that for them. I've even experienced this when I get on a call with a client. If I end up writing down a list of things that I can do for them, they get overwhelmed and they're coming to you for help and to help them with that overwhelm. So one of my biggest tips for new designers or designers that maybe just have too much going on in their offerings is to simplify that. I did this around 3 years ago. I used to offer branding and just a logo and a website project and a VIP website project. And I would do a la carte items like random design projects and custom rates. And it was not only overwhelming for my client, but overwhelming for me. So around 3 years ago, I decided to simplify it. And I'm not even kidding you guys. This is what I really feel changed my business. Now I only offer branding or website design. And it has not only made my life so much easier, but I'm able to reach these customers that are overwhelmed and they just want to reach out to an expert they know can help them. Now, I'm not saying you have to go and change your offerings to be branding and website, but I do feel that having a little audit of your offerings and figuring out where you can simplify things will help you tremendously. If you are afraid to simplify your offerings because you're afraid that it's going to turn away customers that are looking for specific things that they might have in mind, like maybe you don't have package design listed on your website, or maybe you don't have a landing page design listed on your website, don't worry, because clients, if they really love your work and they adore everything you're doing, they're still going to reach out to you and ask. So I really wanted to preface this because if you're going to start to build out your portfolio site, it's very important to make sure that your portfolio items are matching your offerings and that everything kind of flows together. Okay, now before I share with you guys how to build out a portfolio, even if you're brand new, it's important to actually have a portfolio to put all of these awesome creative pieces that you're going to make. So I like to recommend building your own website. I know that as a beginner, you might not want to fork out a ton of money on a website platform, but if you aren't interested in doing that yet, you can also post your work on Behance, on Dribbble, on Pinterest, on Instagram. There's so many online content platforms that you can post your work on. And I highly recommend doing that, even if it's like something that you just started, but even if it's something that you are judging too much, because I know that we're all our own worst critics, post it on somewhere. That way you can look back on it throughout your journey and see where you started. I think that's one of the most awesome parts about not being afraid to share everything you're doing throughout your journey. But I recommend posting these portfolio pieces that you're going to be creating. But if you are willing to invest in building out your own website, this is going to be so great for your long-term growth in your business. It's something that you own, something that people can come to and learn more about you, not just about your work. And I think it's one of the best things you can do when you're getting started is to really think about how you can involve your personal brand into your website and into all of the portfolio pieces that you're going to make. I think a lot of people reach out to designers to work with because they love their own personal style. I know this because a lot of the clients I get on calls with are saying, I love your website and I really love your style, and that's why I want to work with you. So yes, the portfolio pieces are very important because potential clients are going to be doing their work and seeing all the things you create, but your personal brand is truly what it comes down to. And building your own personal portfolio website is the best way to practice this. So that would be my recommendation before we even get too far into this, because you don't want all these beautiful creative pieces that you're going to make go to waste. Because trust me, you guys, post it. Even if you don't love the portfolio pieces you made, post it, because not only will you be able to look back on that one day, but it might speak to a potential client and it might land you a project that you didn't even think of. This has happened to me hundreds of times, and I don't want you guys to miss out on amazing opportunities because of your own judgment. Okay, now let's talk about what makes a well-rounded portfolio, because you'll see so many portfolios online as you get searching for inspiration. And really what it comes down to is showing a diverse amount of projects that you've worked on. And that's why that was the first thing I mentioned, because if you are solely a brand designer, which is amazing, your portfolio should most likely reflect all brand design projects. So it doesn't have to be a hugely diverse portfolio if your offerings are super simple. However, if your offerings are, let's say, branding and website, make sure to have portfolio pieces that can really showcase that type of work that you're doing. Now, I know that sounds very obvious to say out loud, but I just had to mention it because I've seen a lot of websites that want to offer lots of different services, and I've even ran into this. I used to want to offer marketing and social media content planning, but I had nothing to show for that besides my own personal brand. So try to have some more case studies that aren't just your own. In a few minutes, I'm going to share with you guys some actual project briefs and places to go find some fake project briefs to practice and work on. But before that, I wanted to share a few more things about a well-rounded portfolio. Your portfolio should be easy to navigate and very clear. You don't want it to be super confusing if a client lands on it on what exactly you did for them, because there might be projects that you work on where they already had the website done and maybe you just added in a few elements, or maybe you just created the branding for them. You want to make that super clear, because sometimes a client might be hiring you because of one specific thing they saw, and you just want to make sure that you are comfortable doing for them. So make your portfolio very clear in terms of what it is you did for that project. And that's one of my favorite things when I see on a portfolio, the story behind it and how it was working with that client. And even if it's a fake project brief, you can really kind of like talk from your own heart in terms of like, I was really inspired to make this. You don't have to reference the client, but just having a story behind it and explaining what it is you exactly did can be so helpful. Now, I already kind of mentioned this a little bit, but one of the more important things in a portfolio that I think can go very forgotten about is making your personal brand shine through. Like I said, a lot of clients want to work with you because of you, because you are your unique self, you have your unique style, and you have something to offer that other designers don't. So make your own personal design style shine through. And I think this kind of organically happens when you work on projects, because most likely you got that project because it aligns with your own style. So you're able to kind of intertwine your style, but also making it unique to the client and the client's audience. But making your portfolio page and all of those projects kind of fit within your vibe is going to help even more, because when you go to a website and it's very like fun and organic and boho kind of, and then you go to the portfolio and it's all very sterile and corporate like, it's really hard to kind of have those mesh together. So I feel that having portfolio pieces that just not only enhance your personal brand, but just have it flow together in a way that just feels really good. It's hard to explain without seeing it, so I'll add some visuals as an example, but I think that this is one that you should not forget about. Don't try to go so far off from your own unique style. Always trying to find a way to include that into the client's project, because they reached out to you because they want your work. Okay, now it's the part of the video that I know all of you guys have probably been waiting for, and I also added some timestamps to make it easier for you guys to jump ahead to this part of the video, but I'm going to be sharing with you guys where to find some fake project briefs if you really want to get practicing, and maybe you want to do some passion projects if you're experienced and you want to just really enhance your portfolio. Like, you guys, I am in my like 8th year of designing, and I also want to start doing this more because I want to land clients in the coffee shop industry. I want to land clients maybe in the clothing industry, and I don't have a lot of portfolio pieces to show for that yet. So I'm also considering going to these websites and when I have some free time, creating some awesome brands, not only for my portfolio, but also for some content, because we all know how important content is, and it's really cool that we can repurpose the things we create in so many ways. So let's get to the fake project brief websites that I want to recommend. The first one is called BriefBox. This one is awesome. You'll be able to head in there and it'll give you a fake project to work on, so you can kind of not worry about that part of it and just focus more on the visuals and how to really bring that to life. BriefBox has an entire page of briefs that you can kind of work off of, as well as inspiration too if you need a little jump start and how to get started with it. But I think it's really cool because they're a little bit more trendy. I think a lot of the AI tools online are great, but this one has some great ideas that will actually align with what you guys are looking for, I believe. So I really like it. I think it has some great ideas in there, and they often update it. And they also have tons of education in there if you need some like tips on how to get started. But the best part about BriefBox is they give a full brief overview on like what the brand is about. They don't keep it super basic, so you can really start to creatively think on how to bring it to life. And I think that's just a really cool part about it. And sometimes these other brief platforms are lacking in that area. And we all know that as a brand designer or a web designer, it's really important to know the brand story, to understand the strategy and how to speak to the audience. So I love that this website really dives into it more deeply. Okay, the next one I want to mention is Brief Club. You can find them on Instagram. They also have a website, but their Instagram's a really easy way to see a brand new brief as well as inspiration. So I love this one because not only was it founded by these two entrepreneurs, they're awesome, but it has such great creative ideas for things that are a little bit more relevant in our day and age. So I love that the briefs that they offer in this, because they're really trendy, lots of inspiration, and just some great ideas to get started. I feel like the Brief Club is really great for those of you who want to get into more of like the feminine, organic style vibes of briefs, if that's kind of your vibe of design, or maybe you want to kind of practice with that and experiment with that. They have some really great briefs in here that speak to that style. Your post will tell you the name of the brand, also a little description about the brand, how it works, and they give you a deadline. So if you're someone who needs a way to work under pressure, because I know I work well like that, then this is definitely the one to use, because by like Sunday, I believe Sunday night, they usually have people submit, and I believe they even post the projects that you design. So it's a really great way to get some exposure as well on your posts if you submit them. But I just love that the briefs they give. I think they're a really great starting point for practicing tons of design styles. Okay, so those are a few of my favorite ones, but there's also a way to get fake project briefs from ChatGPT. Now, I mentioned AI tools can be a little bit tricky in terms of getting a brief that actually makes sense and that isn't something super outrageous and crazy. But I will actually give you guys an exact prompt to give ChatGPT. I'm going to add it into the description box below. But this prompt will allow you to speak to ChatGPT in a way where they understand what you're looking for. And I feel that AI and ChatGPT specifically is one of those things that you really have to teach, and you have to teach it how to give you an answer that you're really looking for. So this prompt should help you guys a lot to produce those answers and give you a brief that you can actually really work off of. But I feel like if you need that pressure, if you're going to use an AI tool to give you a brief and you want feedback on your designs, be sure to head to my Patreon. I have an entire collection in there where I give you actual feedback and some more like one-on-one help if you just need some tips on your design style or even your website or whatever you're working on. Be sure to check that out. I always have a link down below, but if you need that more like one-on-one help and also a way to get feedback on your design, our entire community in there is so helpful and so sweet. So be sure to check that out, because I think these AI tools are really great, but it's just having that feedback and knowing how to grow from it even more is the only tricky part without a community. So be sure to check out my Patreon if you do want some more feedback on it. Okay, now besides ChatGPT, there's another AI tool called Designer Size. It's kind of cute. It looks like really techy when you get into the website, but this is also a fun way to just see some different ideas out there on what you can design. And I also love it because you can set the level of the design that you want it to be. If you're brand new, you can do an easier design. If you're really experienced, you can do a very hard design and just like experiment around with some different ideas. So this is also a fun one, and I think their website alone is really fun to play around with, so I recommend checking that one out. But the cool thing with Designer Size is you can actually time your design as well. So if you're really curious how long it takes you to make a logo or make a design, then this is a fun way to test it out. You can also set the levels, easy, medium, hard, and you can increase the time, decrease the time if you really want to test it out, and you can actually time it directly on the website. So it's kind of fun. I think it's a really simple site, but it gives you some great ideas. If you aren't loving the other briefs that you're seeing, then check this one out too. And I just think it's a pretty cool website that you guys should definitely check out. Okay, so those are the project brief websites and Instagram accounts that I wanted to share with you guys. I think that there's some great ideas within there, endless ideas, honestly, for you to get started and to really practice your design style. If you guys want more tips on how to design, how to get started, how to really know what you're doing when you open up Adobe Illustrator, that is why I started my Patreon, because I dive deep into that with you guys in terms of like how to start a new document in Illustrator, the sizing, the color mode, all the things that you might need to know. I like to go over that in my Patreon now and share more of that nitty-gritty design tips and things that you might need to know as a full-time designer. There's also so many awesome creatives in there, and I've loved getting to know you all and to communicate with you all and really get to know you and see your work. It's just the best. So definitely don't forget to check that out. But I actually have an offer right now for all of my YouTube subscribers. If you want to get in on my Patreon, be sure to check out the description box, because if you click in there, you will see the discount for my YouTube subscribers, because you guys are my OG subscribers, supporters, all the things. So I wanted to offer you guys something special for my Patreon. So don't forget to check that out. But I hope this was helpful to you. I wanted to not only share with you guys those fake project briefs, but also what is really needed to get started and what you should pay attention to if you're like brand new, or maybe if you want to kind of audit what you currently have going on and make it even better. But I hope this was helpful. If it was, it would mean the world to me. If you have not subscribed, if you subscribe now, and I will see you next Wednesday.